Hey guys, Attacking Toucans here, and welcome to my newest Let's Build series in Planet Coaster, where we're going to be building a Legend of Zelda roller coaster. And this is going to be a side series from my pre-existing series, Let's Build the Ultimate Theme Park in Planet Coaster, but I'm making this a side series because I wanted to build a Zelda coaster in this park that far surpasses anything we've built in this park so far. I'm going to go all out on this coaster, and I am so excited to see what is to come of it. I've been working on this theme park for the past 8 months on and off, and the newest coaster I'm going to build was going to be themed as a castle. So I thought to myself, why not make it Hyrule Castle and make the whole entire coaster themed after Legend of Zelda? Because that would just be way more exciting for somebody like me to build, because I'm such a huge fan of Legend of Zelda. And I thought doing this new series would give me a new surge of inspiration to continue working on this park. So without further ado, let's build an awesome Zelda coaster. Before I started construction, I went online and looked up a ton of different pictures of Hyrule Castle from different Zelda games. I wanted to draw inspiration from all the different games and try my best to represent the different design choices that have been used on the castle throughout the years, because there have been a lot of different castles. But of course, due to limited items and scenery in the game, I'm gonna have to put a unique Planet Coaster spin on the castle, but it's okay because no two Hyrule Castles have ever looked exactly the same, which is really good for me. So for the exterior, I'm going to try to infuse together the Hyrule Castles from Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and Hyrule Warriors. For the interior, I'm going to try to copy the designs from Wind Waker, because that's one of the only Zelda games you really get to have a good look at the interior of Hyrule Castle. And then for the front lawn / courtyard area, I'm going to take some inspiration from A Link to the Past and Minish Cap and have some nice hedges and garden type areas, some gazebos, and all of that stuff. And then hopefully by the end we will have a great representation of Hyrule Castle. So let's get started. The very first thing we're going to build is the outer castle wall. Now on my actual series, Let's Build the Ultimate Theme Park, I already located the spot of land to where I want this castle to be, so I have a rough estimate on the size I want. You can see a moat that I sort of drew along this gigantic circle. The circle is going to be the size of our castle. We have quite a bit of space to work with, so I plan on making this castle pretty massive. I want the castle to be just gargantuan, so whenever you walk up to it, you're just in awe by the size and just beauty of the castle. For the brick color of the castle, I decided to go with a light gray brick because that is the most commonly used color for the bricks on Hyrule Castle. And then for the shingles of any of the roof pieces, I'm going with the dark blue color. Now a lot of the Hyrule castles in Zelda have a lighter blue color, but for my castle, I decided to go with a little bit of a darker blue color just because I wanted it to look a bit more gritty in a way, a little bit more realistic. Just a kind of personal design choice, I guess. Now right here you see me adding a little Triforce as a decoration on the outer wall, just because the Triforce is the most notable symbol from the Legend of Zelda franchise. So if we add a little Triforce to the wall, people will already see this castle, and the very first thing that's gonna pop into their brain is Hyrule Castle. That's all you have to do to make it look like a Hyrule Castle, is put a little bit of a Triforce on it, and you're good to go. As far as the design style for this outer wall, I'm taking a lot of inspiration from Twilight Princess and Hyrule Warriors. I'm adding lots of ornate details with the white trim. Ocarina of Time's castle isn't very detailed, mostly because of the limitations of the Nintendo 64, so I'm definitely copying one of the newer gen Zelda games as far as detailing goes. Now fortunately, Planet Coaster gives you a ton of customization options, and you have a lot of freedom and flexibility with your builds, so you can pretty much build anything that you could possibly want. Now I added some thickness to the wall so the guards would have an area to walk around and keep watch, and then after I made a good solid first section of wall, I copy and pasted the wall over and over again, and I decided to be nice and not show you the whole entire copy and paste process, and I just did all the work off camera for you guys. It was a really painful process getting all these little wall sections to line up and look nice and smooth, but I got the job done and the wall is now looking nice and complete. Now I use longer wall sections for the back half because the back half doesn't need to look as detailed. I started off with putting shorter wall sections, and there was too many little towers and it was really distracting. It looked much better with longer wall sections towards the back. Then I used Planet Coaster's tremendous excavation and terraforming tools to build a lake next to the wall, because I think it would be the smartest idea for a castle to be built next to a lake. That way you would have a natural water supply for your moat, because then you can just dig your moat from your lake and that lake will naturally supply your moat with some water. I'm sure, it seems like a lot of castles were built next to moats. I try to do a decent amount of research. I'm not some sort of medieval scholar. I don't know much about castles in general or architecture, but I'm trying to do my best to like think about this from a logical standpoint and try to make it somewhat realistic. I'm just doing some finishing excavation. I'm adding a portcullis to the front of the castle, just because we got to keep out the intruders, I guess. Got to have that gate. And I deleted the monorail so we'd have like a nice empty area. I do plan to eventually have the monorail go over the gardens. We'll keep it clean for now, so we have a blank, empty canvas, nothing in our way. Now I copied a piece of the wall section to use as a base for the castle, and we are going to start building this castle, so let's get going. So my plan for this roller coaster is I plan to build Hyrule Castle first. It's probably going to take a few episodes to finish building this thing because it is going to be gigantic and I plan on putting in a lot of detail, but it is definitely going to be worth it. Please stick with me through this series. It's going to be very rewarding and I'm very excited as to what we're going to have come from it. Now when I say I plan to make this castle huge, I really mean it. I plan to make this thing multi-tiered. We're going to have lots of ramparts on every single tier of the wall. We're gonna have lots of different towers, lots of different bastions hanging out. It's gonna be pretty legitimate, and I am really excited to see how this thing is going to turn out when it's done. Planet Coaster just gives you so many fantastic tools to build a lot of amazing structures, and I'm excited to just combine all of the different options they have to try to make just one ultimate looking castle. Then once we have the castle built, we will build the roller coaster going through it. The roller coaster is going to do a lot of different things. I have some pretty unique ideas. For example, at one point in the coaster, I want you to go underground into a Chamber of the Sages, and we'll just recreate the Chamber of the Sages in Planet Coaster. Leave in the comment section below. I'll actually have a comment question of the day. Leave me a comment below letting me know what from the Legend of Zelda series you would like to see represented in this build, and I will try my best to include as many little Easter eggs and hidden things as I possibly can. Also, something else I wanted to do with this series is Planet Coaster has a fantastic Steam workshop that allows you to share models and items that you make in this game with other people. So if anybody is wanting to participate and help me with this build, if you want to create any sort of Zelda model, such as an item or a little piece of architecture or a character or anything of the sort, you can do that, upload it to the Steam workshop, and then send me a link to it on Twitter. And if I can find a good way to incorporate it into the build, I will do my best to do so. I think it'd be cool to just add a little bit of extra fun things, because people can make some pretty cool models in this game using the different shapes and items that they have. So if you'd like to add a small amount of input to this series, you can do so via the Steam workshop. How exciting! The internet lets us all come together. It's such a fantastic place. Internet is great. I would recommend it 10 out of 10. Now, one piece of advice I have for creating really large structures such as this is to do your best to try to avoid straight, flat walls. I like to add little tiny indentions or extrusions from the wall to really break it apart. I like to add curves and other things of the sort, because if you have just like one straight, flat wall, it's going to look really bland, really boring. But if you add little tiny extrusions, such as those little blocks that I have coming outwards, it'll make your build look worlds better, and that's always a great thing. So for now, I'm trying to focus on just the main exoskeleton of the castle. I'm just trying to get a general shape of what this castle is going to have, because I don't want to add a lot of details to the castle and then realize I have to change the shape of it and go back and have to redo everything. That would be just a nuisance, and I'm not about that life. So for the rest of this episode, we're mainly going to focus on just the main structure itself and try and decide how it's going to look, mainly from the front. We'll probably add the girth or the back side of the castle in the next episode. Now, if you're enjoying this series and want to see more videos like it, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, this Let's Build a Zelda Coaster is a side series to my main series, Let's Build the Ultimate Theme Park. Now, the rest of the theme park you see in the background, I built all of that on camera. Now, there's a lot of detail inside almost every single thing that I've built, so if you want to get a lot of just inspiration for building things in this game, or just want to see somebody put in a lot of way too much time into building a theme park, that is the series for you. And pretty much the plan for this whole Planet Coaster series is I'm going to work on this Zelda coaster for quite a while. I'm going to finish this up, and then once this series is finished, we will move back onto the traditional Let's Build the Ultimate Theme Park, where we will take on where we left off after we finished the Zelda coaster, for anybody who is wondering how this is all going to work out. Now, going back to the whole drawing inspiration thing, I want to go further in depth as to what type of inspiration I'm drawing from the separate castles. So I really love the Twilight Princess castle. I love the shape. I love how it's an octagon, but unfortunately in Planet Coaster, it's really hard to make buildings that are an octagon shape. You can do it, it's possible. I've done some buildings with some fairly odd shapes. Odd shapes, fairly odd shapes. But for this castle, I felt like doing an octagon would have been a little bit too much. I kind of went with a more roundish wall on the outside, but I wanted to keep it a bit more simplistic. So I'm going with a Twilight Princess style for the architecture, but I'm copying more of Ocarina of Time and Hyrule Warriors with the shape of the castle, to where it's more flat from the front and more cubish in nature. I mean, this isn't going to be a cube because there's lots of protruding objects and towers coming off the castle, but I'm trying to keep the front side of the castle a little bit simplistic, if that makes any sense. Now, one of the reasons I'm making this castle so big, apart from the fact that I just wanted to look epic as hell, is that I want people to be able to see the castle whenever they're walking in through the front gate of the park. I'm trying to make this park a little bit tiered, so the stuff towards the front of the park is a little bit smaller, a little bit lower, but as you go further into the park, things go uphill and things become larger. So whenever you're looking at the park from the very front, you just see this epic landscape just full of fantasy and amazing things, and it'll just make the guests super excited to continue looking through the park. I mean, hey, the series is called Let's Build the Ultimate Theme Park, so that is what I'm trying to do. Whether or not I achieve this task, we will find out. Anyways, now I'm adding some just decorations to the very front wall. Just some windows, just to add a little bit of variation to the front so it doesn't look too bland, because I want the next episode to start off with a bang. I want people to see this castle and be like, dang. But yes, along with Planet Coaster having a lot of just wall options and different ways to construct your buildings, there's also a lot of things you can place on your buildings. Lots of different windows, doors, lights, decorations, flowers. There's like an endless amount of possibilities, and they keep on adding more and more to the game with DLC. There's more DLC coming out in a couple of days. I think Planet Coaster just yesterday hit its 1-year anniversary. So happy birthday, Planet Coaster! Woo! So excited, so proud of you. But anyways, I believe we are about done with this episode. I'm really excited about the progress I made this very first episode. I think we got a lot of our framework put in, and we have a good foundation for more to come. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video and you're excited for more, please give this video a thumbs up. It's just a quick, easy way to let me know you're excited about the series. And I will see you all in the next one.